Welcome back, Josh B. Alex Goldman here, joined very luckily today by the man who has set the Australian MMA world on fire this week, Jacob Watts. Jacob, thank you very much for joining us, man. Look, I want to get straight into it, and I want to ask you about a fight that just recently got announced, and that is Jamie Heerden and Jenna Fabia. So, firstly, just talk to me about that fight. Where you think how you think it's going to play out, and basically how the fight came about. How were you able to book that fight?
Yeah, it's an interesting fight. I think it'll be one that the fans will remember for a while. Jamie's been wanting to jump on the show for a while, but obviously we're pretty like the women's divisions, especially the heavier you get, they're a bit like short for competition. And we had a look around for Jamie, and then they're like, "Fuck it, let's do Gina Fabian." So yeah, it's going to be a sick fight. Obviously, she's had 7 fights in the PFL. Proved herself on the world stage. Now coming back into NZ, she had a great performance on the weekend, and Jamie has looked great in her last 2 fights. So I think that is, like I said, it's going to be one the fans remember for a long time.
Absolutely, man. Well, like Alex said yesterday, the whole scene was set ablaze. I loved it. Obviously, we're referencing Justin Van Heerden, the eternal featherweight champion, jumping ship and fighting for HEX Fight Series in Auckland, mate. Obviously, it's a big move, especially when it's a champion. I think it's even bigger statement for you guys specifically. Give us your thoughts on Justin, this matchup, and how this all came about.
Yeah, I haven't made a statement on the fight since it got announced, but I'll do it here. So
awesome.
I've seen people are saying like, oh, why not a title fight? Why Barber? Why this? Why that? So the plan was to do Justin and Abdallah. I think that Justin is, even though he's coming over from another show, he's more than worthy of jumping straight into a title shot. Abdallah is unavailable till June. He's doing Ramadan at the moment. And Joe Lopez said with Justin, he says, I don't care. I just want him to fight. I want him to fight as much as he can. He's obviously sat on the sidelines for, I think, close to a year. And just been sitting there. So Joe was like, we just want to fight. We'll fight in May. We'll back it up if we win in June. Sam Kikembo, who just beat Michael Barber, his coach has a show on the same weekend as HEX, so none of the absolute guys are available at all, which obviously includes Sam. And we sent out a few offers to a lot of different people, and Michael was the only one that said yes. And that is just like a testament to the kind of person that Michael is. He's lost to Justin over a decision 3 years ago. He just lost a razor close fight to Sam. It was kind of 50-50 in the venue on who'd won. He's proved himself as one of the toughest fights at featherweight for the last 5 or 6 years. So for anyone saying that, this is like a gimme fight or it's a mismatch, or why isn't Justin in the title fight? Like, Michael Barber is an absolute animal, and I'm sure that he'll prove that. I think that he's got every chance of winning, as does Justin.
What's up, guys? It's Josh here from the stands. And look, I know you're in the middle of a good little interview that we're currently doing, but I want to take a second of your time just to give a quick little shout out to today's sponsor, TrainAid. Obviously, they're big supporters of us, like we are of them. And today they're sponsoring this video. And look, I want to let you guys know about a little product they do. Their premium product, TrainAid Hydration. It's the best hydration formula on the market, guys. I'm not gonna lie to you. And look, if you don't believe me, ask guys like Israel Adesanya, Alexander Volkanovski, Leon Edwards. You ever heard of these guys? I mean, they're the top athletes in the world. And they're all taking TrainAid Hydration. It really is the #1 formula in the world for hydration. And in the summer months here in Australia, I mean, it's something that I think everyone should be taking. And TrainAid have been very nice to give us a discount code, a very healthy discount code as well. I mean, it's a nice little discount code. If you use the code FTS15 at the checkout, they will give you 15% off. We'll leave a link to their website in this description of this video, and check them out, guys. Please support them because they are supporting us. Cheers.
Yeah.
I want to know, what's next for Johnathan Micallef, because he's in a sort of unique position because he beats Joseph Luciano, arguably one of, the best MMA talents in Australia, and then, has a bit of a tough going in his last outing. But what do you think is next for him?
I don't think he loses any stock off a fight like that. He's 20. He just turned 25 for the week. I think it was the week after HEX. He's 5-1. He's still got 15 years realistically ahead of him. He's only 5 years into the sport, so I don't think he's lost any stock off that loss. It was a crazy fight. Like either one of those guys could have got finished. They were hitting each other with everything. So I don't think he loses any stock. He has fought pretty much every show that we've had for the last 6 shows. I think he's been on 5 of them. So he is just going to take a break. He's been fighting so much. It would be exhausting doing, getting out of a camp and getting straight back into another one. So he's just going to have a little break, and I'm sure he'll be back on for the August card.
Yeah, man. Look, obviously, Australian MMA where it is right now, I think is like we talked about, is at its peak, and like I and other guys, Mitch and the Havokk boys, we all like to reference wrestling and what that was like back in the day, with the old WWF and WCW, and that's where I see it. It's pretty clear to me that what is happening with fighters and jumping ship, going backwards and forwards. It's interesting, and it's exciting, and it's making people want to tune in. And as promoters and guys running companies, you want that from fans. What I've seen over the last 6-7 months is we've had 2 champions, which I think is a big deal, coming from Eternal, coming to HEX. You've had Luciano and now Van Heerden, and I think that says something to what you guys are doing specifically. What in your mind is your thinking, and why do you think that fighters would be choosing to come and fight on HEX as opposed to other options?
I think it's because of the platform that we've built in the last 18 months since we took over, going to Festival Hall, going overseas, consistently selling at the venues, the platform on social media that we give these guys as well, the exposure they're getting, and just the way we treat these guys. Like, there's no bullshit when it comes to us. We're not locking guys down. If a fighter wants to go and fight somewhere else, then they're more than entitled to. Where we just want to give these guys the platform that is going to get them to the next step, which we have with Kevin Jasay, now Kaan Ofli, and I think it's just going to start snowballing. And like I said, I think we just treat our fighters really well, and the fighters want to stay loyal to us. I know that there was an offer from another show to try and get Sean Gauchi over there for a title fight, but Sean stayed loyal to us, and I think that's a testament to the platform we build and the way that we treat these guys. They want to stay, they want to fight for us. If I'm never going to hold a grudge over anyone if they want to fight somewhere else. At the end of the day, we can only do maybe 6 shows a year. We can't have everyone on every show. So if an opportunity comes up for another guy and they want to take it, then so be it. But we'll do everything that we can to make sure that every fighter that fights for us is as happy as they can be.
Yeah.
When we spoke to you last, Jacob, we asked you, how has the sport changed since the early days? And, but by this point, everyone's kind of caught on, the fan base is more knowledgeable, there's more money in fighting, the production's different, the fights are better, the fighters are better. But what I wanted to ask you is, from now to 5 years from now, how do you see the sport changing in the near future? What do you think is going to be a really big change that could take place in the sport?
It's so hard to predict. The sport's so volatile, and it's it's still in such an infant stage, because it's the UFC's it's only really been around for 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
And it's only really been big for the last 15, 20-ish years. Like, it's been kind of more commercial. So you look at the AFL. The AFL's been around for over 150 years, and I think that the next 5 years is definitely going to be the biggest 5 years in the history of Australian MMA, just because of how competitive the scene is getting now between the fighters and between the promotions. Everyone's pushing each other to put on better shows. The level of the fights are higher because these guys that are coming through are getting consistently better and better. And I think these next 5 years, that we're going to see just an astronomical growth in the sport as a whole.
Absolutely. And talking on that growth, man, obviously there's the fight card in Auckland coming up, and I sort of wanted to know do you guys have any plans for any shows anywhere else in Australia? I know you guys are based in Melbourne, and obviously the fight show in Auckland, which is a big one. Um, is there any plans or any early thoughts that you guys would like to do a show in another state?
Yeah, definitely. We definitely want to start traveling interstate in Australia um, in the near future, whether that's towards the end of this year or into 2024. We've got 3 champions at the moment that are Perth based.
Mm.
You know, we're starting to get champions all across the country, and yeah, we want to continue, like I said, growing the platform, and the more we go interstate and international, the more the platform grows. Giving these guys a chance to fight in front of their home crowd as well is massive. And even giving the Melbourne guys a chance to fight interstate. We just want to keep growing this, and we're just taking it one step at a time. We're not trying to have our finger in too many pies and you know, look too far ahead. We're staying grounded, and we're just going to keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah. Jacob, last couple of questions from us, man. We don't want to keep you too long. We really appreciate your time. But Dana White was recently on the Lex Friedman podcast, and he talked about that one of the harder things about dealing with fighters is that they can be very paranoid individuals. You know, whether that's, oh, this promoter's trying to get me beat, or I can't face this fighter because of this reason. But I wanted to know from your perspective, what's the easiest and the hardest thing about dealing with fighters when running a promotion?
The hardest thing is probably the stress of injuries. You know, we've had a pretty shit run with guys like being forced to pull out. I think that's the most stressful thing. Like, I've got a little running joke with Jasmine, who manages coach, where whenever she calls me within 4 weeks of the show, she has to start straight away by saying, like, Cody's fine. I think that's the hardest part. It's just like worrying about these guys, about their health, just making sure that they can get to the fight safely. And to be honest, the easiest part of it is I guess the relationships that I get to build with these guys. It's more than just a contractual, like, business relationship. Like, I'm not just matching a fight and then I'll be like, I'll see you on fight night. Like, I really get to build strong relationships with the coaches, with the fighters, and it's really rewarding when I get to see these guys fight because of the relationships that we've developed.
Absolutely. Last one from me, man. Big news about a month or 3-4 weeks ago was obviously, like you touched on, Kaan Ofli getting the shot on the Ultimate Fighter, which I was very happy for Kaan. I know last year was a tough year for him, and you know, when we spoke to him, he mentioned how much he wanted that shot to finally get his shot, and didn't come to fruition last year. So to see him get that shot this year is really pleasing. As a fan as well, I like seeing that a guy that persists and works so hard does get his crack eventually. I guess, what are your thoughts on his opportunity and where he can go on the Ultimate Fighter?
Yeah, I think it's very well deserving. He's put everything into the sport since he started, and he's kind of dominated the division for the last even like 6-7 years. You know, he's been at the top, and I think he's definitely well deserving of being in there. And to be honest, like, I've looked at the guys that are in there, and I think that there's a method for Kaan to beat all of them. And I think that I'm very confident that he will show that. And I've no doubts that he walks out of that, you know, the finale as a winner.
Yeah,
I've no doubts in my mind.
If only timing was better, we could have seen Van Heerden versus Ofli in a hex cage. Wouldn't that have just been something special?
Imagine Van Heerden, Ofli, and Beata in the Ultimate Fighter house. That would have been sick.
I'd up my subscription, mate. It's been a pleasure to chat with you and catch up with you, man. We'll do this more often. We appreciate your time as always. Looking forward to a good fight show coming up in Auckland, and I promise you this year we will get down. We do want to come down. It is hard being up here and missing all these shows, but we will get down and come cover the event, mate. You're doing wonderfully for Australian MMA. We appreciate it. The fans appreciate it. So thank you very much, and thank you for the time.
No, thanks for having me on, and I've got a couple of media passes on the door for you whenever you want to be there.
Thank you, mate. Appreciate it. Thanks, brother.
Thank you.